So, what does the future actually look like? Well, in his book Zero to One, Peter Thiel suggests that maybe we've been thinking about progress all wrong. He says it's not just one single path forward, but a choice between two very, very different futures.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Progress can basically move in two directions. On one hand, we can go from 1 to n. Think of this as copying things that we already know work, just making more of something familiar. And then there's the other way, going from 0 to 1, which is creating something completely new. One path is well-trodden, the other is, well, it's brand new.
So, to really get a handle on this, let's break down what these two very different paths to the future actually look like in the real world. And this is a perfect way to picture it. If you have one typewriter and you figure out how to build 100 more, you've made horizontal progress. You're expanding. But if you have a typewriter and you invent a word processor, now that is vertical progress. It's a fundamental leap forward. It's intensive, not just extensive. And this is where it gets really interesting. Thiel takes these abstract ideas and maps them onto two huge concrete forces that are, shaping our entire world today: globalization and technology. So the big picture name for that horizontal 1 to n kind of progress is globalization. It's pretty simple, really. It's the process of taking something that works in one place and then spreading it so it works everywhere. So what does this massive force of globalization, this copying from 1 to n, actually look like out on the world stage? Well, Thiel points to China as the textbook example. For decades, their plan has been pretty clear: catch up, become like the United States is today. And that means directly copying proven technologies from the developed world. We're talking 19th century railroads, 20th century air conditioning, even copying entire cities. They're just taking a successful model and replicating it on a massive scale. Now, on the flip side, the name for that vertical, 0 to 1 progress, the act of creating something brand new, is technology. Okay, so let's explore this other path. Let's see how creating from scratch, from 0 to 1, builds a completely different kind of future. One that isn't just a carbon copy of what we already have. And this is so important to understand. When Thiel talks about technology, he doesn't just mean computers or stuff from Silicon Valley. To him, technology is any new and better way of doing things. It's any method that allows us to do more with less. It's the kind of innovation that completely changes the game.
And this brings us to the core tension in Thiel's argument. What happens when a whole world with limited resources relies only on copying? What's the problem?
Thiel lays out this really stark scenario. He says, look, if China doubles its energy output just using today's tools, it's going to double its air pollution. And if every single household in India were to start living like Americans do, again, using only the tools we have right now, the environmental result would be, well, absolutely catastrophic.
He puts it really bluntly with this quote: "Spreading old ways to create wealth around the world will result in devastation, not riches." In other words, a future that's built only on globalization, on this 1 to n copying, it's just not sustainable. It's a dead end. So if one path basically leads to devastation, it forces us to make a really clear and urgent choice. We have to decide how we're actually going to build a better, more prosperous, and truly sustainable 21st century. It really all boils down to this question: where should we put our focus for a better future? Is it more globalization or is it new technology? Thiel's answer is direct, it's unambiguous, and as he would say, it's a contrarian truth. The answer is technology. He says most people think the future of the world will be defined by globalization, but the truth is that technology matters more. And that right there is the core idea he believes most people just don't see or agree with. So why? Why does technology matter more? Because we live in a world with a finite amount of stuff. And if all we do is copy and paste the same old methods, then globalization just becomes a recipe for more competition. Billions of people fighting over the same shrinking pie. Well, that's going to lead to conflict, not wealth. Technology is the only way to escape that zero-sum game. So the big takeaway here isn't just a prediction. It's actually a direct challenge. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It has to be imagined and it has to be created. It's not about just copying what already exists, but about building what doesn't. So the question he leaves us with is, what will you build?